Welcome to Older and Bolder, where we showcase individuals who are fearless, fabulous, and 50 plus. Here's your host, Debbie McCulloch.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 29 of Older and Bolder. I'm your host, Debbie McCulloch. Be prepared to feel some magical motivational energy as my guest today is the magnetic Michele Blood. Michele was a successful songwriter and rock singer in Australia when a near-fatal car accident changed her world. While in the hospital with many serious injuries, she created positive affirmation songs, which not only helped to heal her body, but also took her on a path to worldwide success. Since then, millions of people around the planet have downloaded her Affirmation Power songs. These songs cover healing, success, money, joy, and confidence, and they uplift the listener immediately. Michele is the creator of Magnet to Success products and seminars worldwide. She has hosted public mystical success events in over 26 countries and has co-written and created over 80 books, music CDs, audio programs, TV shows, and videos, all helping individuals transform their lives in amazing ways. Michele is a transformation expert, a teacher of mysticism and enlightenment, and a magnificent musician who uses her multiple talents to improve the lives of people all around the world. Welcome, the petite powerhouse and profoundly positive person, Michele Blood. Hello, Michele, and welcome to the show.
G'day, Debbie. Lovely to be here. Thanks so much for inviting me. I'm really happy to be here.
Wow. Well, I was really excited. The more I prepared for our conversation today and listened to your app and read reviews about your talks, I just became more and more excited. And now this moment has arrived. So welcome. And let's just dive right in and talk about your life back in Australia when you were a very successful rock singer and songwriter. And then what happened on that night when you were in that horrific car accident, Michele?
Well, I was, the first time I was on TV, I was 5
Oh,
singing.
wow.
And I didn't have a family that knew about what I did, but I went to a Catholic school and the nuns loved my singing. And I always used to win the school of 𝗟𝗧. So that's the only way my parents even knew I loved singing. They didn't take much notice, but I actually wrote into the television station to say I wanted to go on this audition for this kids' TV show. And my mum got a phone call from them and my mother didn't even know that I'd written it.
Good for you. You were independent at age 5.
At age 5, yeah. So I went past the audition and that's where I started. Bam, let's go for it. But anyway, so eventually I did many, many different things in the entertainment industry. You know, I was in Annie, I was in lots of Broadway for Australia things and plays and musicals, I should say. But rock, pop was my favorite. So I started in my teens, I started rock bands, pop bands, just cover bands to start with. And then by the time I was in my early 20s, I had an incredible band together and we started writing. We became very, very popular as a really, really great cover band, big brass section, the whole 9 yards. And I was the manager of the band, the singer, blah, 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 blah. and eventually I ended up changing musicians and I said, I want to go original. And so we started writing original songs. And eventually, after many years of touring and everything, we were in a town in Queensland. And have you heard of the Bay City Rollers?
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there was this big promoter in Australia called Andrew McManus, and we'd been on the road doing this, really slogging it out for years. And we had this gig in, oh my gosh, I can't even remember where it was. It was a town in Queensland that had about 50,000 people, which is a pretty big town for Queensland. Anyway, the Bay City Rollers were going to be playing there that night. We had a gig there like for 3 weeks that we played at each gig for about 3 weeks, because the venues in Australia back in the 80s, they had gigs and live music every night of the week, and really big venues. Anyway, so they didn't have that many people come to see the Bay City Rollers, and they asked why, and they said because we're seeing Michele's band, Clapping Hands. It's their last night in tonight. And so Andrew and the Bay City Rollers came to our gig. We had 2 more sets left, and Andrew just said, "You guys are incredible. I don't know why I haven't heard of you. I want to take you to Sydney and get you a record contract and blah blah blah." And and so that's how we sort of took off from working for years and staying in cockroach palaces and you name it. So then we signed with Time Warner. We started to get really big tours. Like at one stage we were touring with INXS, we were touring with the Pretenders as their first band, and then eventually we had people support us and we were the main act, and videos out there and everything. So we were just into our first 2 years of having what we call real success, where you actually get a hotel room to sleep in and not some cockroach palace.
Worse than rain.
Yes. And then we were going from Brisbane to Sydney from a gig. We finished at 3 a.m. We, the road crew and everyone put everything in the truck, this huge semi-trailer, and I went with the truck. We always took it in turns to go with the truck driver because we wanted to make sure that they got there in time and that the equipment wasn't stolen or something. And the truck driver fell asleep just as we entered Sydney after about a 14-hour drive, and I was already asleep. And so he went into a telephone pole, and as the passenger, all the musical equipment went into me. So I was completely broken up, bones. I mean, just there's no way I was going to survive. But after many months in the hospital, I had a life-changing epiphany while I was in that hospital. Obviously didn't die, obviously got to walk again, even though they said I wouldn't walk again. And many hours of operation, 17-hour operation, 19-hour operation, 9-hour operation. I mean, it was just horrific, but I came through that. And so I love to talk about it because of the fact that I was on top of the world, working very, very hard, managing my band, making sure the road crew turn up on time, getting great deals for the equipment, because we had to hire the trucks. The band had to pay for all the musical equipment, the huge sound systems. Back in the day, you had to do everything. And so it was a huge job for me as the singer. And we never blew a gig out. We never once had to blow a gig out. So we were really like very, very disciplined and really good entertaining band. Anyway, so you would think that that would be the worst thing that happened, but in actual fact, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it took me on a new trajectory with my purpose and mission in life. And so all the experience that I'd had up to that date assisted me to be able to do what I do today. So that's making a long story as short as I can.
You do share that you did come up with something using music and the power of music to help your own body heal. Could you take us through that step in the hospital after all those months of trying to recover, how that really did affect your own recovery?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Debbie. It's actually a fascinating story, even to me. Listening back, it's like a movie or something.
Exactly, it is.
It's like, so fans and family and different people, particularly fans, were sending me stuff to the hospital. I couldn't have any visitors because I was just in too much pain and screaming all the time, passing out from the pain, because I had to be in so many different, I was on a steel plated bed after 2 months because I had to have, because part of my back was fractured. I had to be like, couldn't even have a mattress or a pillow for months. Anyway, so my auntie came in and she brought all these tapes and stuff in, and she said, I just want you to listen to them. I always had a little tape recorder with me, Debbie, because that's how if I got an idea for a song and a melody, I would sing it immediately onto the tape recorder. And because it's older and bolder, I don't have to say, Google what a tape recorder is to younger people.
No, exactly. We remember them well.
I still use my tape recorder. I don't even use my iPhone for songwriting ideas because it could delete or something. Whereas I know with the tape recorder, it's like, and it's my lucky tape recorder. Actually, I sent, when I met Richard Branson, I gave him a demo and I said, keep the tape recorder and listen to it on your way back to London. And he actually sent it back to me. He said, this is too important. These are all the songs you write on your little tape recorder. So I want you to keep it. It's magical.
Oh,
anyway,
it's a special tape recorder.
Yeah. Anyway, and so I was listening to these things and I hated listening to them because when you're in an oscillation or a frequency of pain, whether it's physical, emotional, whatever, and you're hearing these motivational stuff, it really annoys you because it's not you're not vibrating at that particular vibration. So it clashes with your vibration. It makes you feel very angry. However, one of the things, my brother ended up coming in and he put on Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, an audio book of a book that was written in the 1920s in America about American men, millionaires. Now, what had that got to do with a female rock singer in Australia in her 20s? So I'm listening to this audio book and I'm like, oh my God, it's sort of interesting, but I don't really care. I don't care about it. It's not about rock and roll. And then magic happened. The book started talking and had Earl Nightingale speaking the book, and he had the most beautiful tenor speaking voice. So I liked listening to his voice because I always like different sounds. And he had a beautiful, deep voice, speaking voice. But he was speaking about he did the chapter when Napoleon Hill's little boy was born deaf, completely deaf, and how Napoleon Hill would go into his little infant son's room every night and go, you hear perfectly, my son. I think his name was Adam. I don't remember exactly because it's a long time ago. You hear perfectly, whatever his name was, saying the name of his son, and you grow up to be this amazing, healthy, beautiful, honest, loyal. You hear perfectly. You are so healthy. You hear perfectly. By the time the kid was 3, he had 30% of his hearing, which all the doctors said was impossible. And so do you know what I mean, Debbie? Let me explain it like this. Do you know when you hear something you've never in your life, you've never heard it before? Because I'd never heard about affirmations or auto-suggestion. But there's something within the marrow of your bones that you know that what you're listening to is true.
I know exactly what you mean, because I think we all can just feel that inside ourselves.
Yeah, we can. And that's what happened to me. So I knew it was true. I knew that auto-suggestion, which it was called in those days. And so Napoleon Hill said, you've got to say a positive statement to yourself about yourself. It must be stated in the now, and it must be emotionalized, because if you don't emotionalize it, it won't go into the treasury of your subconscious mind, where it must go to plant the new seed of positivity, to grow the tree of what you want to experience, to manifest. This all made perfect sense to me. I just, but the thing was, I did an affirmation. I am healed, because I wasn't. I know I am, because I didn't. I love myself. I am my friend, because I wasn't. So I was like, oh, I've got the perfect affirmation. I want that to happen, but none of that is true right now. So I did it over and over again. I am healed. I know I am. I love myself. I am my friend. After 2 weeks of doing this, I gave up. And the reason I gave up, Debbie, is because, and the reason Napoleon Hill said you've got to emotionalize it, because if you don't believe it, your doubting mind spits it out. This is what happens. And this has been now, back then it wasn't proven, but now it's been proven scientifically. John Hopkins studies, Berkeley studies, you name it, on, positive thought and how you've got to emotionalize it, and how music, because they've done studies now on how positive music, which it wasn't then, back then, there was nothing like what I did, works 300 times faster than trying to say a positive statement. So I just started singing. I am healed, I know I am. I love myself. I am my friend. I sang it over and over again onto my cassette player, listened to it over and over again. And to make a long story short, I had miraculous healing. And see, because the doubting mind, because the melody that you're singing is the right brain.
Mm-hmm.
The affirmation, the lyric is the left brain. So you have an entire whole brain experience. So the doubting mind never has an opportunity to spit out that positive thought you've just given to yourself. It just doesn't. It goes straight into your subconscious mind. It is incredible how fast it works. So I had miraculous healing. And because of that, TV shows, magazines and stuff started talking about my healing and wanting to interview me. And I went into the studio with a couple of my musician friends and started writing and recording tons of affirmation songs, never to sell to the public, just for us, just for our own consciousness for success and for our band to go international. And, wasn't thinking of anything else, so I was writing all these beautiful affirmation songs. And they said, so promoters were coming and they said, we want you to tour all over the country with 𝗙𝗢𝗥𝗡 and Wayne Dyer and Bob Proctor and Louise Hay and blah. And I'm like, I don't know who you're talking about. I don't know what this is about. And no, thank you.
But then something changed your mind at one.
Money changed my mind. They offered me $5,000 a gig. And I didn't have to have my band. I could just have backing music from the, and they said, sell your affirmation music at the back of the room. And we'll just take 10% of the sales. And I said, I don't sell them. I don't make them into CDs. And they said, well, I think you'll find you'll sell a lot. And so I said to the band, look, I'm just going to do these tour with these so-called motivational authors because it's really good money. We can buy new drum kits and lots of stuff. And the guys were like, oh, cool. The first one I did was in Adelaide. And that one was with 𝗙𝗢𝗥𝗡, Wayne Dyer, Stuart Wilde, and Tony Alessandra.
Oh, wow.
And what happened was, I was singing in between, and these speakers, and the promoters had come to them and said, look, she's written all these songs, and here's the lyrics of the affirmations. What songs would you like her to sing before you come on that are applicable to your message? And they'd choose the songs, and they just loved what I was doing. So as we were touring, they were just raving on about how much they loved it. And then the promoters and a couple of them, Stuart Wilde particularly, said, speak about what happened to you. You're a rock star. This is sort of fascinating. And the first gig I did was 3,000 people in Adelaide during the day coming to see these speakers, and they had paid $1,500 each. And this is in the 80s, and I'm blown away. I'm like, what in the F is going on here? And I had replicated 500 CDs, and I thought I'll be lucky to have, even 400 of them sell. And by lunchtime, the first gig, they were all sold.
I am healed, I know I am. I love myself, I am my friend.
So obviously, Michele, the audience and your fellow speakers that would be speaking at these events, like Bob Proctor and Jack Canfield, of course, he's the chicken soup for the soul guru, Deepak Chopra, and Wayne Dyer. They've all given you glowing reviews and a huge stamp of approval. So how does it feel to know that all of these icons have sung your praises? I think you've kind of answered that you were blown away by it all. But they all say that your material works almost immediately in how one thinks and feels, and just creates such positive behavior changes in such a short time. So kudos to you. It must have been so exciting and continues to be so exciting, I'm sure.
Well, it wasn't. It was just more of a shock because I was used to recording in 48-track studios with, and we'd spend like maybe sometimes 2 weeks on one song, making it perfect and producing it, and and here I was doing an album in a week. you know, on my little keyboard, sometimes, you know, just using a drum machine. And I'd get, you know, like real guitarists, my friends, to play those sort of things. But
So, Michele, let's talk about Bob Proctor. And of course, he is world renowned for The Secret, especially, and a worldwide public speaker. Could you speak to what it was like working with him?
when I worked with Bob Proctor, as I said, the first event, the promoters said, we've got this singer and she's doing affirmation songs. And he said, look, I don't want it. I don't need a singer. That's not the vibe. That's not how I teach. And they said, well, she's going to be touring with you right around Australia because we're paying for you to do this. And trust me, you'll love her. People are just loving it, getting up on the stage and dancing. And he said, I don't think so, but, you know, it's up to you. So the first one was in Sydney at the Regent Hotel, which is now the Four Seasons. And it was a Friday evening. And halfway through, I'd already sung 2 songs and talked just a little bit. And then he came back to the green room halfway through when they had a break. And he said, I did not want a singer on this tour, young lady. And I was like, g'day, Bob. Nice to meet you too. And then he started laughing and he said, however, this is the most amazing thing I've ever seen. You've got them up in the aisle straight away. And he said, you've only sung 2 songs, Magnet to Money and I Am Energy. And he said, and I can't get them out of my head. And he said, I want you to work with me all over the world. I want to work with you everywhere. I want to write songs with you. I've never written songs. And then his wife, Linda, said, let's call it musivation, motivation with music. And I'm just sitting there and I said, I've got a rock band. I'm not going anywhere to just do this. But after really looking at the opportunity to travel all over the world, and, you know, the first thing he offered me was in Kuala Lumpur for a lot of money at the World Trade Center. And I thought, I'll just go to that one. Let's just see. Because, you know, he was paying me even more than the other promoters were going to pay me. Anyway, so obviously he believed in what I was doing. Anyway, so what happened was I gave my band 6 months notice. And that's when, just after that was when I first went to Kuala Lumpur. And I loved Kuala Lumpur so much. I gave my band 6 months notice because I knew I was going to do something different. I knew I wasn't going to continue with that band because I wanted to just do positive music and nothing else. And I sort of liked the freedom of not having to worry about road crew and bands and agents and record labels, and just the freedom of that, the stress being taken off me was just something inordinately amazing, because normally I could never speak during the day because I had to rest my voice every day. I had to sort of have sign language with people and write notes and stuff. We didn't have cell phones back then. So even to call the agent, I'd be like, and then the secretary would know it's Michele Blood on the phone, blah, blah, blah. Actually, it was Michelle McCarthy back then because the record label said Blood sounds too much like a punk name. And my cousin, Mick Blood, was a lead singer of a hugely internationally successful punk band called Lime Spiders. So they didn't want me to call myself Michele Blood. His name's Mick Blood because they think, oh, it's the same person or it's a punk band. And I was definitely not punk. Anyway, living in Kuala Lumpur, Bob Proctor saw my business acumen and what I could do because I've been promoting and doing stuff all my life. And he said, you know, make our seminars into something really great with musicians and everything, which I did. And then he'd written Think and Grow Rich, and it wasn't doing that well. So I changed the cover. I made him look really groovy and started reproducing all his audio tapes because they were terribly produced. People were buying them. But for example, there'd be like a creative visualization meditation, and he'd be like, now you're at the bottom of the lift, now go back up 10 floors, 9 floors, and then at the end, if you'd like to know more about Bob Proctor. And I said, you're going to give everybody a heart attack, don't you listen to them after they've been produced? He said, no. And I said, I'm going to have to redo all of them. But we worked together for 7 years nonstop. Right. I still had other things I did. He still had, he would come to Kuala Lumpur 4 days a month from Toronto, him and Linda. And we, you know, I'd put on events. I got his book to be a bestseller. He ended up writing lyrics with me for music. We did so many programs like Be Your Perfect Weight, New Paradigms. I can't go into all of them. We did so many audio programs. They're all still available around the world and online. But then I decided to go to America on my own and start from scratch again.
Mhm.
So I just, there was something within me because I was looking for God. I was looking for something more than, because I had the money and I had the experience, and I wasn't excited about what I did, but I was in love with something. I didn't know what it was, this light. I called it heart glow. And Bob said to me, you want to find an enlightened teacher. He said, you're looking for God. And I said, am I? I said, all I know is I'm feeling is huge love. So that took me on and then that was one piece of the pie. And then the next piece of the pie is what changed everything.
And that is
Bob saying, look for an enlightened teacher. So I started reading Yogananda. Stuart Wilder told me about Autobiography of a Yogi. And when I read that by Yogananda, Paramahansa Yoganandaji, I blew my mind because I realized, because I used to be a very religious little girl. We lived in a country town in the Blue Mountains of Australia, similar to where I'm living now. Isn't that funny? That had snow and stuff, and just a couple of thousand people, very similar to up here. Anyway, I had these beautiful Irish nuns, and I would sing, as I said earlier, at the School of 𝗙𝗧𝗏𝗏𝗏. But I was so in love with Jesus because I only knew Jesus as God. We didn't have Eastern philosophies back then when I was a kid, that's for sure. And so I was given permission because the church was just across the road, and so was the convent, to go to mass every morning with the nuns because the priest would give them mass every morning. So I went for years every morning with the nuns because I was in love with Jesus. My mother was very concerned I might become a nun. And because at one stage we were going to move to Sydney, and the nuns tried to talk mum and dad into letting me stay with them for a year in the convent because the nuns were so into winning the singing School of 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏 from other schools. That's the only reason they wanted me to do it. They wanted me to stay so I could still win the 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏s for them.
Right. They wanted this talented musician to be representing.
Yeah. And I'm just a little girl. But anyway, so my mother, who wasn't a Catholic, said, absolutely not. She's already obsessed with you guys. But then, I forgot about it after in my teenage years, puberty hit and rock and roll and all that sort of stuff. But obviously there was already something within me from past lives that was very much into spirit and the divine. And so after reading Autobiography of a Yogi, I realized, oh my goodness. And then I started reading Swami Muktananda and Saint Teresa of Avila and all these mystics, and Saint John of the Cross, who was a student of Saint Teresa, and all of these mystics. And I realized that's what I was looking for, someone who knew God. And I went off the grid. I found one after 16 years. I found one. I went to India. I went to Japan. I went everywhere, came to America to live. And I found a beautiful enlightened teacher who was 10 years younger than me. And she's like a Western woman, beautiful young woman. And I just knew she was enlightened. I always thought enlightenment was, like a Yogananda or, a Zen Buddhist bald guy or gray, men,
Yeah.
And so meeting her, I went off the grid for 10 years, Debbie. I took myself off social media, didn't write books, didn't do events, nothing. Just practiced mysticism and meditation with this beautiful enlightened teacher. We traveled all over the world, her and her students. And eventually I became enlightened. And now I do it. I've been doing it for 14 years. I've got students from all over the world and from all different walks of life. But I always like that I've got so many programs. If someone wants to just simply change their paradigm and be able to work out, make more money, no matter what their age, no matter what they're doing, that you can do it. So I always love the affirmation songs. And then, with the new apps and all the different things I've started that are all to do with spirituality. And because like Yogananda said, wealth and spirituality has to be even, because you can't just have spirituality and no wealth, because then you're poor and you can't focus on God and your meditation practice. And so he said, the Indian people need to learn more about finances and the American people need to learn more about spirit. And so that's what I do.
So you've really combined your musical talents and your spiritual enlightenment into this amazing life and touching so many lives. You really are a global transformational teacher. So, what could one expect from attending one of your mystical success events and the Magnet to Success events? What would one expect if
Well,
they
it's
attended one
well,
of them?
I call them many, many different things, but it's mainly now I just do, I do live Zoom events quite frequently, and quite frequently I do them for free. I've got a beautiful setup with a huge screen and have people from all over the world come on, and we just have a lot of joy and peace. We go through, I teach in a way that is, I don't like people who make it so complicated. You've got to be inaugurated and you've got to pay thousands of dollars to get inaugurated into the spirit or Kriya Yoga. And I'm like, no, just come on for free. I'll give it all to you. So, we sing the affirmations. I do guided visualizations. I do deep meditations, and I transmit light. And I do tons of prayers for people, which I love to do. And I've seen so many miraculous things happen because it's not me. I'm a clear conduit. That's what enlightenment gives you. You're a clear conduit for that diamond, for your higher self to be able to go before you and prepare the way, because most people think, oh, the law of attraction, I'll just do what they say. But it's because the diamond that is your higher self is coated with emotional stuff and lines of attention to the past, a fear that's going to be repeated again, or fear of the future. And once you start clearing that diamond, you can feel your intuition. You can feel your God self animating every breath, every cell of your being. And everything is possible with the divine, because this world is not real. The Buddha said over 2,600 years ago, he said it quite clearly, that the world is, you are what you think. Everything you are arises with your thoughts. With your thoughts, you make the world. So it wasn't a secret.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're just spreading the joy at all of these events and virtually and in person. And then you've also created a very successful, popular app that I have on my phone called the Magnet to Money app. And people everywhere are raving about this, and I would agree with all of them totally. It is amazing. And it's not just a money manifestation app, but so much more. There's meditations related to health and being strong and beautiful, about joy and peace, kindness and love, and all that. Can you tell us just a little bit about how you came up with this and what some of the feedback you've had from it?
Yeah, I wanted to do an app for a long time, and I couldn't find anyone who could develop an app the way I wanted it. And so one of my students, 𝗙𝗢𝗟𝗪, I was guided by the divine, just ask Holly to do it. And Holly said, I've never done an app. I'm not a developer. And I said, but the divine has told me that you're going to work with me as my partner in this. So she ended up studying and learning how to do it. She's a brilliant young woman, just in her 20s. Absolutely brilliant young woman. And so she started studying and getting other developers to teach her. And it took 2.5 years for us to finish the first app, the Magnet to Money app. And then Johnny Ndara, who is my business partner and, best friend, he suggested to just do a Magnet to Money app to start with just that song, because that's the most popular song I've ever done. Millions of people download it. If you go on YouTube, you'll see so many people have used my Magnet to Money app song to get followers. I don't charge them royalties or anything, but they use them. They've never asked me if they can, but I don't mind. I just want to spread the joy and get people into prosperity thinking and not take money so seriously. People would rather talk about sex than money. And money is just an energy that gives you freedom to live the way you want to live and to be able to assist others and be a philanthropist and do great things. So it is an important, on this particular planet, if people say money doesn't mean anything to you, they're lying, because you must have it to survive in this particular planet, this particular world plane. There are many world planes without money I've visited, but this particular world plane, money is what makes the world go round, but it doesn't mean you have to have attachment to money or love money. Let money love you. Let it circulate around you so that you're a magnet to money. You're not attached to it. You're not attached to what it can give you. You don't want to buy things so the neighbors will like you. I don't have any neighbors, so I'm cool. But yeah, so we did it originally. So it'd be notifications. So the Magnet to Money song would come on whenever you wanted it to remind you to do something or just to listen to it. Because a lot of people, even though they know the affirmation songs will assist them, they forget to do it, or they're in a lower oscillation and they don't want to listen to something positive. But this way, every hour, every 2 hours, or just twice a day, you've got it set up as a notification, and the Magnet to Money song comes on, goes into your subconscious mind, you start feeling better. But I wanted more. I wanted spirit to be added. So I ended up doing many, many morning meditations, guided meditations for people to focus on one thing each day, on forgiveness, on goodness, on prosperity, on love, on generosity. And people, it's just 6 to 8 minutes each morning, they can do that. And then I've also got the Prosperity Sleep Angel program that people can listen to. It'll help them go into a deep, deep sleep. And as I'm speaking very softly to them as their angel, I'm doing affirmations. I'm feeding their subconscious mind with spirit, with beauty, with beautiful thoughts, not just about money and manifestation, but about the goodness within them and the love. And it can, if they listen to it, they can listen to it by just putting it on airplane mode. So that way the phone doesn't ring or anything, and just listening to it very, very softly. And then we've also got tons of affirmations with the music underneath that you can, I say the affirmation and then you repeat it after me. And now we've just started with the 30-day challenge, which has got different notifications for everything. So you can actually write down your goals in the app. And so that's the Magnet to Money app, only on iPhones, because it's very, very challenging with so many different smartphones that just don't work that well with different apps. And I love the Steve Jobs and the perfection that he always did for Apple. And so the iPhones, when you've got an app on iPhones, they're very fussy about who they let on there, and it's got to be perfect. It's got to be coming from the right place, and it works perfectly if you do it that way. So sorry, guys, I've got a smartphone. However, if you've got an iPod or an iPad, you can still download the app if you've got an Apple, some other sort of Apple. And we've also got the Manifestation Through the Power of Mysticism video book, the very world's first video book. And that is an app, as well as for people who prefer to watch a video or a movie on a nice laptop big screen like I do. I'm not like the kids. I don't want to watch like on this tiny little screen. So it's an app, plus it's also it covers every topic under the sun to do with mysticism, manifestation, love, meditation, law of attraction, everything. But you get to watch these amazing visuals and listen to my voice, look at the subtitles. And so your mind does not have an opportunity at all to go into doubt or limitation. And the end of each chapter is a music video with one of my affirmation songs. So people that have been watching this are having amazing, amazing results. It's just, some of my best friends who are best-selling authors just said, this is the way people are going to read books from now on, is a video book. Who knew?
Okay. And yeah, I must say I haven't tried the manifestation video book yet, but I can hardly wait to do so.
Oh, I'll get Trevor to send it to you.
Yeah, I think I might have it sent to me.
I asked him to send it to you already, probably in one of your emails. I'll ask him to send it to you again.
Yeah, I probably just didn't pay attention to it enough. But the Magnet to Money app, I've used, I'm a regular user of the affirmations and the meditation and the song, of course. And right away, it just puts you in this really sense of joy, and it puts a smile on your face, and repeating the affirmations. It's just so well done, Michele. So, and I'm sure you've had so much feedback from other users of the app that just reinforce all those same things, how great it is.
I am a magnet to money. I now have more than I need. I am a magnet to money.
are such a vibrant and vivacious woman. What do you do personally to keep so energetic and positive? Because your enthusiasm really is so contagious. So, what do you personally do? What does your routine look like day to day?
Well, I meditate for hours every morning because I'm sending light to all my students. And I've got a Pilates. I love Pilates because I have so many steel plates in my body from the car accident. My body can't do yoga. It needs the the reformer to be able to have the springs attached so I don't hurt my back or anything. So I do Pilates every day and stretching, dancing, walking around the block. And my block is nearly 2.5 miles around. Treadmill. Every day I work out. Not one day do I not work out. Every single day. Because when you're meditating like I do, you've got to have very strong abs, nice flat stomach and very strong abs. It doesn't matter if your stomach's not flat, but you need to have strong abs to be able to sit up and meditate for as long as I do and have a very strong body. And I eat, basically, I guess it's what people call a keto diet. I love salads. I love grilled chicken. I love healthy foods and I love to cook. And I cook myself Indian food, Thai food. There's no restaurants or anything near where I live. So after living up here, I just love having fresh organic foods and I don't eat much. One day I'll just have one meal and then the next day I might have just a little bit of fruit and yogurt and then I'll have another meal later. So I keep myself trim and very, very healthy this way because I have to for what I do. And the older we get, I'm 66 and I feel younger than I did when I was 36 and I'm not lying. Some people say that, but I'm in the middle of writing 3 new books simultaneously right now and
Wow.
putting on events. I've got an event coming up in April 20th and 21st, but it's not an event where I teach. This particular event is just for all my students to get together in Santa Monica and for me to give them one-on-one light transmissions. And then in September will be my next live event. That will be a manifestation through mysticism live event in Santa Monica. Even though that's a fair distance away, I like the fact a lot of my students live internationally, Debbie, and so they can come into LAX. It's easier for them. And then Santa Monica is it's a cool place for them to go and visit because you got the beach and all the shops and carnivals and everything. So that way they can have a little vacation while they're coming to my event.
Exactly. And Santa Monica is a really cool place to visit. I have had the privilege of visiting there and yeah, it's lovely. I want to talk about one particular type of seminar that you have that you put on sometimes, and it's called the How to Stop Being a Blamer and a Complainer. And I think we all can get caught up in complaining. It's the easiest thing in the world to do and usually creates a lot of negative emotions without really solving any problems. So how do you assist people with techniques to change this paradigm from complaining to something positive?
Well, actually, that's just a topic for podcasts. It's not a seminar. I always speak about it because it can change your life dramatically. It's very, very simple. Here you go, people. Have a listen. Come on, ladies. Listen. Men too. Listen. Whenever we complain, what is really happening is we are in fear. We're unhappy. We're focusing. We'd rather put a shadow. We don't want to focus on our shadow side. No one wants to do that. And as we do get a little bit older, we tend to sometimes be a little stuck in our ways. No one can relate to that. No, Michele. Anyway, so no one wants to really look at their fears, particularly, as you get older. You don't want to face them because then it's like, well, they don't exist. I'll just go onto Netflix or I'll eat something or, or I'll complain. So when you're complaining, it means you're either afraid of something that you're not going to get or you're afraid of something that you're going to lose that you've already got. And you don't even realize that's why you're complaining. Complaining is a mask hiding your fears. And our fears must never, ever, people get confused about positive thinking and negative thinking. Saying to yourself, okay, I'm feeling this fear. I'm afraid I'm not going to have money for my mortgage. I'm afraid I'm not going to have love in my life. I'm afraid this thing I've got is never going to heal. And if you can acknowledge what you're afraid of and then look at what can be done to accomplish that, to allow you to be uplifted, because anything can be healed, anything can be manifested if we can change our mind. And some people, oh, don't be negative, Michelle, I only want to think positive. Now, that's ridiculous. If you're living like that, that means you want to put icing on an unbaked cake. Yeah. Little kids might want to put their fingers in it, but we sure don't. We want a beautiful baked cake, cool it off and put beautiful icing on the top. Yummy. And so that's what we want to be, a beautiful baked cake with beautiful icing. And so we don't want to ever mask our fears. We want to face them and say, okay, I'm afraid of that. Okay, that hasn't even happened. Why am I afraid? So you're just masking something. If you could stop complaining for 21 days straight, your life will have more money in it. You'll be happier. You will be the healthiest you've been in years. And this is the way you do it. If you feel yourself starting to complain about a person, some food you had, the taxes are going, anything you want to complain about, if you can stop yourself, bam, halfway through, you can stop yourself halfway through and go, oh my gosh, I'm complaining again. Okay, I'm going to stop right now. Shift your attention. You have the willpower, people, to shift your attention. Go, okay, what am I afraid of? Why am I complaining? Am I just hungry? Do I need to stretch my body, listen to some fun music? Because sometimes it's just you're hungry or you're just overtired or something. It may not be because you're afraid of something. It could be a physical thing, or emotional thing. And so just say to yourself, okay, I'm going to do something to absolutely uplift myself. I'm going to listen to Casey and the Sunshine Band and dance around to, shake your booty or something. I don't know what I'm going to do. Listen to James Brown.
Magnet to Money app.
Magnet to Money, success song, persistence. Exactly. Shake your booty, do whatever you need to do. And then it's great. And what you do, if you've got to day 20 and you complain, you have to start at day 1 again, because you have to go through a full 21 days of no complaining. Because once you do that, the red flag will be up. Anytime you're about to complain or say something unkind about someone, which is complaining, saying something unkind about someone is complaining. And you can stop yourself. Your paradigm has shifted irrevocably to the positive. And it is an incredible thing. And it isn't easy. But if you can do it like every day, okay, no complaining. But you've stopped halfway through each complaint. You've stopped. And I want everyone to think of it this way. If you're going to talk about anybody, I want you to know, because we are all psychically connected. We are on a beautiful, beautiful golden tapestry. We're part of a tapestry. If you're going to say anything unkind about anyone, pretend they're in the room with you and they're listening. Just say kindness about everyone and everything. And it's not being ridiculous. If you are witnessing something that is horrible that's happening, you can witness it without being attached, without complaining about it or being violent or judgmental. I can see that that's happening and that is unkind. I feel compassion for those people, but not to be complaining about them, those bastards, and they did this and my husband and my wife, or, just to say kind things. You don't have to say kind things about people you don't like. Don't get ridiculous. Oh, I like Donald Trump. Get off. Please. Hello.
Exactly.
We'll all know you're lying then. Anyway, because you wouldn't be listening to this podcast if you liked him. Anyway. Not that any of them are any good anymore, but anyway, I don't get into politics, but let's not complain about any of them. Let's just have a laugh about them, maybe. Laugh about them, but don't complain. And remember, if it's someone, particularly if it's someone you know, and you say bad words about them, they will feel it immediately. They won't know what it is, but you are actually making them feel bad. There's something within them. And then maybe they'll start complaining about you.
Well, very well said, Michele. So, Michele, where do people find out about your products and services and what you have to offer?
Well, first of all, we're going to give your wonderful listeners the funnel for you, free, 100% free, manifestation video book, the chapter I love, people love so much. Are you a mystic? So you get to experience the video book and watch that wonderful chapter. You're going to get my Magic of Affirmation Power ebook and Songs for Success that I did with Bob Proctor. We loved recording and making that absolute magical album. You're going to get all of that free, 100% free, by just going to Michele Blood, MICHELEBLOOD.com/boulder. And if you want to know more, you just go to micheleblood.com and you will see in the tabs up the top where there are events, the different product websites. I mean, you can go to iTunes, Amazon, and get any of my music or any of my products anywhere in the world. But we've got big discounts. If you want to get the manifestation video book, I highly recommend you go to manifestationvideobook.com and get it there, because if you get it from us, you get the video book, which is incredible. And you get the audio book and you get the ebook, all for only $29.95. Now, people were saying to us the video book should be at least $300. And I said, no. We're going to do all of that for a very, very reasonable price, because we put a lot of money into it and a lot of work into making all those videos. And Holly Fuller, Trevor Rogers, Johnny Indara, and myself, we are the dream team who create all of these beautiful products for you. So even when you don't feel like watching something or doing it, if you just turn on the app, oh my goodness, my friends, your life will change. And I'm so happy for you to be here with Debbie, because Debbie is amazing. And to also know that it doesn't matter what your age is, you can accomplish anything. You can do anything. Someone said, when are you going to retire? And I said, what's that? I don't work.
You just have joy every day. And so on behalf of all the listeners, I want to thank you for that free gift. And again, it's Michele Blood and .com/Boulder for them to access it. And Michele is with only one L. So it's MICHELE Blood, BLOOD. The time has come that I need to ask you the final question of our interview that I ask every one of my guests. Knowing what you know now, what advice would you give to your 25-year-old self today?
Keep going. Magic is about to happen in your life. Keep doing everything that you're doing exactly as you're doing it. You're awesome.
Oh, such great advice to your 25-year-old self. And you are awesome. So that's perfect. And I want to add that the micheleblood.com/Boulder, that will be in the show notes, as well as access to your website as well. So Michele, thank you so much for sharing your energy and enthusiasm with me today and enlightening us on the magical power of music, meditation, and manifestations. What a wonderful gift you are giving to the world. As you are assisting us to tap into the power of our minds, you are transforming lives around the globe. You've certainly uplifted and inspired me today, and I have no doubt that you have put a smile on everyone's face that is listening. So what a pleasure it has been to have you as my guest, the fearless, fabulous founder of countless tools that bring positive change to people everywhere. So keep doing what you're doing, Michele, because what you're doing is amazing. I've really, really enjoyed our interview today.
Thank you, Debbie. And I love what you're doing too. Everybody subscribe to Older and Bolder, please.
Okay.
5-star reviews, everybody. Let Debbie's beautiful words and beautiful guests assist you to uplift you no matter where you are in the world. You can do it. Don't listen to anyone who says you can't do it. Say, hasta la vista, baby.
I love that. And I plan on attending one of your events in the not so distant future and getting to meet you. So thank you so much.
You're welcome, Debbie. God bless you. More love.
Same to you.
Thank you for being part of Older and Bolder with Debbie McCulloch. Tune in for all the episodes on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify.
Before you go, please, if you want to receive some amazing high vibrational success meditation, tons and tons of free products, go to micheleblood.com/links.